You may know me as that artist that constantly talks about black paint, and you'd be correct. I've done videos about the black 2.0. I've done videos about the black 3.0 beta test. And this is now my, I'm not going to say final, because Lord knows I'm going to do more videos about black paint in the future. But this is my video about the final release of black 3.0. It was in beta test for a while. There were several different batches that went out. I was one of the beta testers. I had batch CH48228. I loved the beta test. Didn't enjoy what it smelled like, but loved how the paint applied, loved the consistency of the paint, loved the absolute velvety finish, and the wonderful rich black pigment. I'd initially saved about a third of my beta test tube to show you guys in this video to compare it against the final formula. But unfortunately, in the months between completing the beta test and receiving my shipment with the final formula, the tube went moldy. The paint in the tube went moldy. When I opened it, it looked like there were little asbestos fibers all around the tube. For those of you who don't want to see a small chunk of dried up moldy paint, look away now. Okay, come back. That is just one little chunk of the paint that I was able to get a macro photo of. Let's get to some of the test. I'm going to do some swatching of the black 2.0. Oh. Wow, that is an awful lot of paint that I just put out into the world. And a swatch of the black 3.0. I'm going to do them straight out of the tube, and then I'm going to thin them a little bit and show you two different swatches. And then I'm going to place a swatch of the black 3.0 over the swatches of the black 2.0 so you can really see the difference. Here we go with the 2.0. This is straight out of the tube, unthinned. And this is the black 3.0 straight out of the tube, unthinned. They are very different consistencies. The black 2.0 is more akin to like a fluid acrylic. Not exactly ready to be used in a pour, but it is not incredibly viscous. I'd say it's thinner than your average ketchup. And the black 3.0, which I'm applying right now, is much thicker, and I don't know, when it's straight out of the tube it has sort of a gelatinous consistency, and it does have a few little chunks, if you will. I'm going to speed this part up now, but I'm going to apply a hairdryer. So from what you guys can probably see here, I mean, it's very apparent to the naked eye, but the black 2.0 is significantly lighter and significantly more lustrous than the black 3.0. The black 2.0 shows far more brush strokes, probably due to the consistency of the paint and possibly due to the age of the paint. I have had it for a few years now, and the black 3.0 is just super, super matte and velvety. I'm going to show you, I'm going to swap out canvases now and show you one of the canvases that I swatched on earlier. So in this shot, you can really see the difference between the 2.0 and the 3.0. Here, I've applied a swatch of the 3.0 over swatches of the 2.0. So, this is just the end of a paintbrush. The 3.0 straight out of the tube is right here. You can see some of the brush strokes because it is a little bit viscous, but in 3 thin coats, thinned with water, this is what you get. You get a super matte and super flat finish that doesn't show many brush strokes at all. In the 2.0, you get a very matte, flat finish, but it's just not as dark. When you thin the 2.0, some of the pigment actually shifts around a little bit as it dries, and I've noticed in my previous works that sometimes the black 2.0 cracks on canvas. I didn't have any problems like that using it on paper, but on canvas I did have some issues where perhaps I thinned it too much and the medium that it was in broke down a little bit, but it does kind of dry unevenly and can give you like little cracks and problems. The black 3.0 applied over the black 2.0 makes it completely obvious, at least to me and hopefully on camera, that the 3.0 is just so much darker than the 2.0. I'm going to switch out this canvas with the swatches on it to show you 2 full canvases, one with the 2.0 and one with the 3.0. This was applied in many thin coats and allowed to completely dry, and dried with the hair dryer because I'm very impatient. Here we have the 2.0, which looks just so dark on its own. And then next door we have the 3.0, which is even darker. Because my camera is automatically adjusting the white balance to show the differences in the black, you do see some of the brush strokes in the 3.0 because my camera is picking up light a lot better than my eye is right now. And you can see how even with a few brush strokes, because I applied more coats on this, it is just a lot darker. I'm going to see if I can affect the white balance at all by throwing our good friend white canvas back in here. So with a little bit of white canvas at the bottom, that really just kind of shows off how black the 3.0 really is compared to the 2.0. I think right now is a really good example of what it looks like to the naked eye. I'm going to play around a little bit with this and use these canvases for some paintings, and I will be back with that update in a few seconds. Here is the black 2.0 in the pan. You can see that it is, you know, kind of sloshing around the pan a little bit and dripping, while the black 3.0 is staying basically completely in place, just due to the differences in the consistency of the paint. The 3.0 is pretty heavily scented. I know that the 2.0 had a black cherry scent, and the 3.0 had several different scents in the beta test. Mine was black coffee scented, I believe. And if it contained any actual black coffee, that might have been what contributed to it going a little moldy, which, yeah, I really didn't appreciate. Really didn't appreciate the fact that the paint that I held over from the beta test to compare to the final version went moldy and dried out in the sealed tube. So here is my attempt at doing two canvases to show the two different paints we've got going on here. I'm not sure how clear the focus is going to be on these, so I will take some up-close photos just to really show you, but at least in person, the black 2.0 is a lot lighter than the black 3.0. I used the same Liquitex Basics acrylic color in titanium white for both paintings. The black 2.0 likes to crackle when it is on over any other kind of paint on a canvas. As you might be able to tell, up around here and on her eyes and on her chin, where I put the black color over the white, it kind of ended up with a crackled, broken finish. It does like to break up. I've had this problem recently. I did not have this problem previously, and I have not had this problem on paper, but I have definitely had this problem on other canvases recently. And I don't know if it's the age of the paint, or whether it doesn't like canvas, or whether it really doesn't like playing well with other paints, but it does not like to lay flat on other paints, and it does get sort of a crackle finish the same way that using specific crackle paints does. On the black 3.0, it is a lot darker. It dries down a lot matter. I didn't have any of the issues with it crackling. I put the black paint over her face and on the neck here. I also used it to correct some errors up around the hair, around the light coming from behind, and it plays well with other paint a lot better than the black 2.0 does. One thing I have noticed is that this canvas was just painted. I handled it minimally. I touched it right here and right here up in the corner, and where my hand laid, it did leave sort of a smear on the paint. This is a problem that I definitely had with the 2.0, that the paint just is not durable, and because it is hyper matte and has what seems to be like exposed pigment, like it's really gritty in texture, the minute you touch it, it gets compromised. It gets scratches, it picks up sheen from the oils on your hands. Ooh, yuck, my hands. And that's frustrating. That's frustrating because in order to preserve your painting, you kind of have to use a glossy coat to seal it. And why bother using an ultra matte black paint if you just have to seal it using something glossy so that you don't get your fingerprints all over it or have it attract dust. If you give me a second, I'll be back and I will compare this black 3.0 painting to my previous black 3.0 canvas from the beta test. We're entering handheld mode for this one so that I can really show you how the paint has held up over time. There are marks all over this canvas just from existing, just from being in my room and existing. I have not been particularly rough on this canvas. I have not transported this canvas other than moving it from my desk and easel over to another area of my room. So the fact that this is a few months old now, I'll drop in here when I actually completed this painting. But you can see that a lot like the black 2.0, the black 3.0 is just a scratch magnet, a scuff magnet, and a dust magnet. And that's disappointing. This paint really isn't meant to be handled. I feel like it's more durable than the 2.0 because I haven't had any issues with it flaking off yet or crackling, but it's just not really where I love this paint. I absolutely love this pigment. I want to use this on just about everything. It's super rich, super dark, super velvety, but the effect of the paint is ruined immediately if anything touches it, or if you take any measures to protect your painting. So if you protect your painting by sealing it in any way, or covering it in any way, it's ruined anyway. The just gorgeous, velvety, rich, I keep using the same words because it keeps impressing me in the same way, you know, but you just lose the amazing, super dark, matte black the instant you try to protect it. And if you don't protect it, it's a scuff magnet, it's a dust magnet, it's frustrating. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to compare the two canvases. This is brand new. This is a few months old from the beta. So the original beta test black is a pretty neutral black. I think I described it as like a true Mars black originally, but the beta test, the final formula, is slightly different in undertone. It's a little more of an ivory. But I think that's fine. I think that it probably doesn't even read on camera. And just holding this new canvas is kind of wrecking it, and that's a bummer. But I think that's, I don't mean to lean you directly on top of your sister here, but I think that's going to be it for this episode of Karen Talks About Paint for 17 minutes. If you guys get your hands on the 2.0 or the 3.0, let me know down in the comments how you like them. I'm definitely going to use this an awful lot. I think it is a vast improvement over the 2.0 in a lot of ways, but it is not the only black paint for your purposes out there. I think that if you want a more durable paint, if you want a paint that doesn't get nullified by using any sort of seal or varnish, I think you're going to have to go with something else. But this is an absolutely wonderful black paint, and I will probably have an even later update about it when I try it out on some other surfaces, see how it works on paper, see how it works on some 3D objects, see how it works on just a few things I have in mind. So it's been wonderful, but I gotta go. It's like 5 in the morning.